Hello and welcome to this episode of Self-Made. I'm your host, D. Brown, CEO. Today I have a power couple from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Please help me welcome Floyd and Kourtni Luster to Self-Made. Happy to have you all on the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, I want to jump right into the program, and I want to start, Kourtni, with you. Talk to me about your childhood. Where did you grow up, and what was your childhood like?
I grew up in North Louisiana, Monroe, Louisiana. I am the youngest of four, and I had a pretty happy childhood. I attended Wiseman High School. I was a dancing doll. I danced. Wasn't too good at sports. I tried out for basketball once, but that didn't work out so well. I was a better cheerleader than I was athlete. So I had a great childhood. My grandmothers were an important part of my life. My grandmother would always tell me and my cousin, people would say, "Oh, they're such pretty little girls," and she was like, "You're only as pretty outside as you are inside."
Right. That's good advice from a grandmother.
Yes.
So Floyd, what about you? Where did you grow up, and what was your childhood like?
I grew up in Clarksdale, Mississippi, part of the Mississippi Delta area of Mississippi. The oldest of two kids, my mom and dad. Two kids, me and my sister, Tony Luster. Grew up in a big family. My mom is now the oldest of 11. Very tight-knit family, steered and kind of raised by, my grandmother, which is now deceased. Graduated from Clarksdale High School in 1994. During my childhood, I played baseball at our famous Sassy Park. So I really enjoyed playing baseball. After Clarksdale High School, I attended Coma Community College, which is also in Clarksdale, Mississippi. So I had a very interesting childhood, a very family-oriented childhood that I came from.
Kourtni, were there any challenges that you had to face or obstacles you had to overcome as a child growing up in Monroe?
So I was a latchkey kid, and society and research kind of looks at it in a negative way, but in some ways I do think it prepared me to be a responsible adult.
Yeah.
I think at 9, the bus stop was our driveway, so literally my grandparents lived about 45 minutes to an hour away from Monroe. So by the time my siblings started college, everybody was gone by the time I started 4th grade. And so it would be just my mom as a single parent mom. And the one thing that I would say is my mom had strict rules, but she supported us and she gave us a lot of love. She worked a lot, but she set expectations, and basically we knew that we had to do what she told us to do.
Yeah. What about you, Floyd? Any challenges or obstacles you had to overcome growing up in Clarksdale? Of course, I'm from Clarksdale as well, and rural Mississippi Delta town.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, some challenges. Like Kourtni, my mom was pretty much a single parent as well, which my father was in my life. Has a very high influence in my life as well. But my mother was pretty much basically a single parent. Which she had a strong support from her family, her sisters, my grandmother. Small town, Clarksdale's a small town, but I guess growing up, you felt like it was a it was a big town.
Yeah.
So that was probably the biggest challenges. My mother, I love her to death. She dealt with different challenges, but she never did spill that over into our life. We did most activities that other kids in the middle class did in Clarksdale.
Yeah. So Kourtni, growing up in a household with a single parent, and your mom raising you, I came from the same situations, single mother, except I had no involvement from my father, but my grandfather, helped raise me. My grandmother did as well until she passed away when I was in the 6th grade. But how did your mom influence you as far as, doing the right thing, morals and values? What did she instill in you?
She instilled in us that we had to go to church. So my brother, who's the closest to me, we're 8 years apart, he was like, we go to church every Sunday. I don't want to go to church every Sunday. And he was like, I don't understand. And she was like, it's okay, you're going to keep going. So, we were brought up in the church. You didn't miss church. And if you missed church, you pretty much couldn't do anything else. And just seeing my mom work so hard, my mom worked for General Motors. Mm-hmm. And so she graduated high school, went back and did some training to be a certified photometer. So she would check the lighting because her General Motors plant was a headlight plant. Okay. And so we saw how dedicated she was to work. Like my mom never missed work. There were years that we had perfect attendance. I think it just taught us to be, again, responsible adults and to not make excuses. Like life is going to give you some lemons and you have to figure out how to make lemonade. That's the real challenge.
Right. A story I'm just going to jump in and tell real quick. My mom was the same way. She wanted to we had to go to church every Sunday. So one Saturday night, I concocted this plan where I wasn't going to go to church tomorrow. And so the way I was going to get out of it, I was going to hide my church shoes. So I hid my church shoes because, that's what we called them back then because that's the only time you put them on. Right. So I hid my church shoes. And so the next day, we looking for the church shoes. We can't find them. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm out of this deal today. So I had to wear my tennis shoes with my suit to church. Now it's fashionable to wear tennis shoes with a suit, but back then I was embarrassed. But Floyd, what about you? What did your mom teach you about life?
My mom taught me about life, like I said, God, religion was very important. We went to church every Sunday school, and sometimes what we call it, night church, when you went in the evenings. And education was very huge in our family. My mom, 4th grade teacher. My aunts, most of them were in the education field, whether in education administration or high school, middle school, elementary school teachers. So education was very, very important. I just remember all my cousins coming back to my grandmother's house after school. Everybody had to get to that kitchen table and do your homework. Yeah. That's first, before you went to grandmother's kitchen to eat dinner. So she really instilled education and religion.
Okay. So Kourtni, what about high school in Monroe? What was high school like?
High school was exciting in Monroe. I will say that I had some really good experiences. I danced for my high school, and one thing I remember that kind of impacted my life the most was, and this is really going to date us all, I was in Future Business Leaders of America, and in North Louisiana, the area high schools would get together and pick a high school senior and a junior to participate in Leadership 2000, because this was in the mid-90s. So like 92, we were members of Leadership 2000. Right. And so now here we are, fast forward 2022. I learned so many things. Like we went to different businesses and we got to spend the day with the CEO, or spend the day with the manager. And we learned how businesses work, how people communicate, how business deals were made. And we did all kinds of industries. Like we did plants, we did other schools. We actually went to the Chamber of Commerce, and there was a business symposium, so we got to see different businesses. And that really, I went to a predominantly African-American high school, and I lived in a predominantly African-American community, and that kind of diversified my experience with people. There were Asian people, Caucasian people, people of all color, and they did team building exercises. They put us in groups with people you're not likely to get in a group with. Right. So you learn different things about other people. Right. It was rich in culture. It was a small town, but we had plays and debutantes. We had lots of social things that I learned about being a leader and learning how to treat people. Yeah.
Floyd, what about you? What did you your experiences, what were they like at Clarksdale High School?
Well, while I attended Clarksdale High School, I wasn't an athlete. I pretty much worked while I was in high school, and my favorite class in high school was technology students, our technology program. I was heavily involved in this association, TSA, Technology Students Association, where we kind of experiment with different realms in the technology field. We learned about robotics, computers, and CNC, and then computer aid drafting and design, which kind of sparked my interest to go into the architecture field. Every year we went to Mississippi State University to compete with students throughout the whole Mississippi area through our TSA competition. So, big part of my high school career was, my academics.
Yeah.
And I worked part-time at Kroger supermarket.
Right.
So I also helped my dad out at the family store.
Yeah.
As well.
Okay, so that's where you learned your work ethics.
Correct. My work ethics. Correct.
So, Kourtni, you graduate from high school. So, take me through your college journey.
I graduated high school and I immediately started college. My oldest brother had gone there, so first few days I was a little homesick. I literally had never slept in a room with somebody that I didn't know. My college roommate was, that first semester, she was a senior, because during the summertime they kind of have to pair you with whoever's living on campus.
Yeah.
And I will say that probably was the best thing that ever happened to me, because she kind of let me go for a minute, and she was like, hey, I want to talk to you about some things.
Yeah.
And she's like, I think that you went from not being sure if you want to be here to like, now you love it and you're having a lot of fun, but you kind of have to treat this like a job. Like, I hear you talk to your mom, she seems really supportive. You got to treat this like it's a job.
Yeah.
And so she would go to the library every day, and that became my routine.
Yeah.
I enjoyed all kinds of partying. I've always been a social butterfly. So she taught me how to balance it. I would go eat, go to the library, and my friends, but back then we had cell phones, but we could only talk at nights and weekends, because my mom was like, you're not gonna be roaming on the phone. So my friends knew that I had a special seat in the library, so that was like my office in the library. If they wanted to talk to me before 9, that's where they could come. And it taught me to put my priorities in perspective and know, like, if it's something you want, know that you have to work hard for it, and you have to have a plan.
Yeah.
Because you either plan to fail or you fail to plan.
Right. It's good.
Yeah.
Good point. So, Floyd, what about you? Take me on your collegiate journey.
Oh, my collegiate journey was very exciting. Upon graduating from Clarksdale High in '94, I attended Comer Community College. Started there after graduating. Served as SGA president while I was at Comer Community College. Very exciting times there. I actually orchestrated and planned the first Greek show at Comer Community College while I was SGA president, and that was an experience because I'll never forget Ms. Gooden, who was over student services at Comer Community College. I said, Ms. Gooden, we ought to have a Greek show. She said, Floyd, get it done. So what I had to do, I had to go out and find the Greek organizations to come out in step. So I went to Delta State University, talked to different Greek organizations there, went to Ole Miss, because I had to find some colleges and universities kind of close vicinity of Clarksdale, because I knew they had to drive there and drive back. Went over to Ole Miss. So at the end of the day, we had some Greek organizations come in from Ole Miss, Delta State, and Mississippi Valley State. Very huge event. So, and we got it done. And 1996, I graduated from Comer Community College, transferred to Southern University in Baton Rouge, entered into the School of Architecture, graduated there 2001. While I was at Southern University, I was a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. I was initiated Alpha Sigma chapter in 1997 and graduated 2001 from Southern University.
Okay, so answer this question for me. Oftentimes, I know statistically, African-American kids test below college readiness on standardized tests, and that tend to impede them from continuing their education. How do you feel though that may not have been the case for you and why you went to Coahoma Community College, but how do you feel that Coahoma prepared you for that transition to a four-year university?
Coahoma prepared me, and just to go back for Coahoma Community College, it was always a family tradition to attend Coahoma Community College first, no matter what. I think of my grandmother had a saying, you was going to ROTC, right out to Coahoma. Yeah, so it prepared me in a huge way for attending Coahoma, because I was able to get a lot of my core classes out of the way, like my psychology, biology, college algebra. So when I trickulated to Southern University, I was strictly in my major, taking all of my core classes in architecture, and it had a very huge impact. I ended up graduating top of my class from the School of Architecture. I graduated with the highest GPA from the School of Architecture at Southern in 2001. So Coahoma was a huge benefit.
Yep. Now, Kourtni, I know that you are a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Talk to me about the work that you all do in the community and how you help to impact lives through the organization.
There's lots of work we can talk about. For probably the last 10 years, I've been the chair of the healthcare committee. And we have partnered with Susan Coleman in the fight for breast cancer. So throughout our organization, we have targets that we want to meet in the communities. And so throughout our organization, we have one chapter, I want to say they're in Texas, which is also a part of the South Central region where I'm a member. They actually have a mobile unit they go into communities and do mobile mammograms.
Wow.
We partner with a company who does, and we help them. There's a race for the cure that we do, and we help them organize. We check all of the runners in. Whatever is needed, we partner with them. We have another event that we do, Big Wig, and they take leaders from the community to raise money for breast cancer. And then on the Big Wig night, they all do these different performances from a different era. And it's a lot of fun, but for every dollar we raise, the organization matches it. And so women who couldn't afford a mammogram are able to get it. Women who have metastatic breast cancer and they need support because there's so many steps to the care that they receive, we provide financial support. We give Uber cards so if they need transportation back and forth, they get it. We do community health fairs. And we do them in our communities, and we kind of target heart disease, diabetes, lots of illnesses that affect the African American community. And we just try to teach people so they become aware, and we teach them prevention. You know, like you don't want to wait until it's a problem. You want to be knowledgeable so that you can do those things you need to do to help you not have that problem. And as far as schools, we also have a program with youth that we help them with college. We do virtual college tours. We help them complete FAFSA forms, the financial aid form that all students have to complete to get into college. We keep up with the dates. We remind them about ACT, and we give a huge scholarship, several scholarships, but one of them is the bigger one, to individuals who write an essay and come and interview with us. And you know, it's a lot of fun to give back to those kids and watch them. Some of them enter the program when they're 12 years old, and then when they're seniors, it's like kind of like your own little nieces and nephews that you watch matriculate. And we know that they're ready. And I think that, you know, we've lost our village, but that's what we need. We need organizations to step up, to have people who are responsible, who can influence those kids in a positive manner. We all complain that, you know, society is not where we want it to be with our children, but what are you doing?
Right, we have to all do our part.
We all have to do our part. You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution.
Right, and so I know you are very passionate about healthcare, and you run your own medical practice as well. So give us the name of your medical practice and why you're so passionate about healthcare.
The name of my medical practice is Healthcare First Medical Clinic. It's a rural health clinic. It's in a small area. I am passionate about healthcare because I feel that people who know better do better. And sometimes a challenge for people in rural areas or even people of color, you have to meet people where they are. Like I had a patient forever. She never knew that diabetes and glucose was the same thing. She would say her sugar. And so when people would say, well, you know, what is your A1C? And she was like, well, what is that? You know, just making sure that people are knowledgeable about their health conditions. They know what to eat. They know what they can do to help themselves.
Yeah.
You know, like we don't understand that everybody doesn't start from the same place, but whatever you could do to help somebody get where they need to be, it doesn't matter because we all have a common goal, and that's to be healthy and whole.
Right. And so, Floyd, you own the Luster Group, and you started out in architecture. So talk to me about the Luster Group, but before you get into that, what led to your transition from architecture to now you are a general contractor, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
What transitioned me from architecture to construction? The firm I worked for, CSRS Architects and Engineers in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, they kind of started off as a traditional architecture firm, but they slowly transitioned into construction management and program management. So during my duration there, I was always in the field observing construction, and I kind of took a liking to that portion of the field architecture because, you know, it always stimulates into construction. So that would kind of transition me over to the construction arena.
Yep. And so tell me a little bit about the Luster Group.
Luster Group, we're an emerging, diverse firm located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We do projects from $100,000 all the way up to $5 million, design, build, construction. We're also into the disaster management arena as well. I've been in business since 2010, over 10 years now. So, yeah.
So, Kourtni, now my mom is a registered nurse, so I understand, you know, the nursing component very, very well. But you took that next step to say, I'm not going to just be a nurse, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and still provide my services on a bigger scale and impact more people than I can do as just an individual nurse. What led to you making that decision?
I worked as a director of nursing for a nursing home, and frequently the doctors will come to see patients like once every 90 days based on our regulations. And one of the doctors would say, like, how do you remember all of this? How do you know everything? He was like, do you know what a nurse practitioner is? And I was like, kind of, sort of. And he was like, I know Southern, that you graduated from Southern. And he was like, I know that they have a program. And he was like, you should look into it. So I did. Yeah. And, you know, I looked into it and I had planned to enroll at Spring. And he showed up one day. He was like, I've been thinking about it. I wrote your recommendation letter. So from that recommendation letter, I went on and I got a master's and became a family nurse practitioner. And then eventually in 2016, I got my doctorate. So I have a doctorate in nursing practice.
So how, I guess, the transition from being a nursing director and working for someone else to running your own organization, what was that transition like?
It was a good transition. I learned as much as I could. Dr. Ronald Andrews is my mentor and a good friend of mine. And his father was a physician in Houston. And so he came with a lot of knowledge, more than just how to assess and treat a patient. He knew the business side of it. And so learning from each one, each group, I was like, you know, I really think I can do this. Sometimes when you're in larger groups or larger facilities, you can't care for patients how you need to care for them, just because obviously larger facilities have to have stricter and different kinds of rules to manage everybody.
Right.
So I wanted to be somewhere where I was accessible to anybody. Like, if you can pay, great. If you can't pay, we'll figure it out. Right. So we have a team, and my team works hard that if people are indigent, we help them get in the state facility program, or we help them apply for indigent plans. You know, we don't let money be a factor in their care. Like, so many drug companies offer patient assistance programs, and like the income levels are up to $120,000 for a family of 5. Yeah. So people think that they can't afford it. They just don't know that there's resources, and we bring the resources to them so that they can get the kind of health care that impacts outcomes and improves their life.
Right. That type of work definitely impact lives. Floyd, I want to know from you briefly, working at a large engineering architectural firm, and you decided to go out on your own, what led to that transition?
What led to that transition? I come from a family on my father's side of entrepreneurs. So when I graduated from Southern University to enter into the architecture field, I always knew I was going to start my own company. It was just at what point do I do that? So I gained as much knowledge from talking with my different mentors about just gaining the knowledge, as much knowledge while you're working in order to prepare yourself for that transition. So after 10, 11 years of working at an architecture firm, I just decided it was the time to transition over to start my own company.
Well, the work that you all are doing in your community is very, very great work. I will say this as we kind of wrap the show up. You know, most people are afraid to take that leap of faith from being, you know, an employee to running your own organization and having the responsibility of making payroll and, you know, being responsible for the people's lives in terms of your employees and their families. And so that's a very major step, and you guys have done it and been very successful at it. I appreciate you all taking time to be on the show. It has been great. To my viewers, thank you for watching Self-Made with D. Brown CEO. And remember, without you, there's no me.